Metalheads, what is going on? Welcome back to Metal Massacre. It's your boy, the weirdo with a beardo, Lucian here, sitting with a rock and metal, I should say, legend, Ray of Sweet Savage. Ray, how are you, man? Thank you for your time.
Lucian, I'm fine, and it's a pleasure to talk to you, and it's great to be here. It's great to be on your show, and thank you very, very, very much for the invite. And I'm speaking to you from dull, cold, chilly Belfast in Northern Ireland.
Oh, that sounds awesome, though. You don't know how much dull and chilly is like my vibe. Like I would
Lucian,
rather be in there.
I'll swap with you any day. Any day we can do a swap.
Hey, maybe we can. Yeah, but that's awesome, man. So, like, when's the last time you were in America? I guess I should ask.
I was in Nashville in March. I was
Okay.
over. That was my first time in Nashville. I was blown away.
That was a crazy, I've been there a couple times for work. I was a roadie for a small amount of time, so I did some shows there. Dude, there's no other city that is more musically driven than Nashville, I think.
What a city. I mean, I think if I had the money and, I lived in the USA, I think I'd move to Nashville in a heartbeat. I loved everything about it. I love the vibe. I love the people. I love the music. I love the food. Just everything about Nashville. I've been most cities in the US. I'm a big, big fan of the US. I mean,
Yeah.
you guys really don't know how lucky you are. You got everything. You got skiing, you got beaches, you got sunshine, you got great food. You got everything is right in America, and it is the heart of rock and roll. But I just fell in love with Nashville. I couldn't believe it.
How long are you down there for?
I was there a week.
Okay, that's perfect time.
I was there a week. You know what? And if I had been there for a month, I still don't think I would have discovered everything.
Yeah.
The vibe in it. If you're a musician and you like music, Nashville is as close to heaven as you get.
Yeah, for sure.
Unreal.
I'd say the only other spot would have to be LA, but that's just because it's LA. But as far as like having a community and having that kind of a vibe to it, and getting to walk down the street and there's something always going on musically, like no other city really does that like Nashville. And I think that's pretty cool is you're getting a experience every single night.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right, Lucian. And I don't think there's I can't even think of another city in the world
Yeah.
that is like Nashville. I mean, like I've been to LA many a time, and LA is wonderful. To have the sunshine and to have the beaches and everything about LA is great. But you see the fact that Nashville isn't huge.
Yeah.
You can kind of walk up and down Broadway. I mean, that was just unbelievable to me. You
That's
know.
awesome. It's funny. I've always made this joke with my friends. Anytime I go to any big city, Broadway Street is always fun, and it doesn't matter what city it is. It tends to be that Broadway is the street with the bars and the arcades and the comic book shops and all the fun nerdy stuff I love. And I'm just like, oh, that's so cool. Like, so it's no surprise that Broadway in Nashville was
Yeah.
a treat for you.
Well, can I bust your bubble in that one?
Please do.
Broadway and Belfast.
Oh,
Shit.
oh no. Well, I guess it doesn't apply everywhere. My theory has been broken today.
Sorry about that, Lucian. Sorry.
Man, that's okay. We were so close, but Belfast broke it for me. That's okay. But so, what is Belfast like?
Belfast's quite good. I mean, it's a small city,
Yeah.
and as it's probably smaller than Nashville. Because everything in the states is obviously very big. Um, Belfast, the city centre, you could definitely walk it. You could walk north, south, east, and west. It's big enough centre that there's enough going on. There's a good music scene. Not really a good metal scene, as most places in the UK. There's not a brilliant metal scene in the UK.
Mm.
We're very specialist over here, so we've kind of got like one and a half metal clubs. If one club is kind of like metal one week and pop the next week and whatever,
Mm.
but we have one dedicated sort of metal club in Belfast. Um, but it's a nice city. It's cheap to live in. We've great restaurants. We've great pubs. We've got that real Irish bar vibe in Belfast. Even though it's in Ireland,
Mm.
everyone assumes Irish pubs associates them with the south of Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, with Dublin and Galway and Cork, etc. But Belfast is the real Irish pub vibe. You go, you stand, you drink pints of Guinness, and you speak to strangers. I mean, very, very, very friendly. I mean, you could definitely come to Belfast. Either as a guy or as a girl on their own. You'd be safe. You could walk into the pub within 3 minutes. You're standing talking to a stranger, and within 10 minutes, you know his life story, and he knows your life story, and you change numbers and you just keep in touch till the day you die.
I
That's
love that.
that's kind of Belfast. That's what it's like.
I love that because that is exactly like I feel like I should just move to Belfast, man. Like that is exactly what I love in life is like making connections. That's why I do this show. I am a former musician. I literally just left the band I was in like a couple months ago and said, I just wanted to do this and figure out music for me later. But this is kind of my thing because I love talking. I love connecting. I love, forming that kind of a bond or connection with someone, if even for a half hour. I love
Yeah,
that because you learn so much through it. And I think we as humans, we forget that, especially in today's age, we forget that connection is really what got us where we are.
100%, Lucian. And it's a kind of dying trade, communicating.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm fearful for the young people. I mean, I go to, I'm playing a gig or I'm going to a gig and I meet young people and they kind of have their head down. They don't speak. They don't do whatever. And I mean, you can tell that you're a very outgoing guy and friendly, and you like to chat and you like to connect. I kind of feel the same way. I like to chat. I like to connect. I love going. I love standing in the bars. I love when I go into the bars in Belfast and I meet tourists. And we joke about it. You know what, Ray? You maybe you should be a tour guide. Because I'm filled with information about where are you going, where are you staying, what town are you moving on to next, what city you want. Here's where you gotta go. Here's where you gotta eat. This is what you gotta do. It's what you gotta see. I love it. So I love that whole vibe of connecting, especially with people from other countries and different cultures, because you get to learn so much about everything. Especially, we would get a lot of people coming in from Europe,
Mm.
because it's a simple skip. It's 2 hours away on a flight. So we
Yeah.
would get people from Spain and Italy and Germany and Belfast and Scandinavia. So you get to speak about different cultures, what they like to drink, what they like to eat, what they like to do in their spare time. It's an education. It's an absolute wonderful education.
Yeah. And I think music has become like a way to kind of heal that though, like in my opinion, I think it's one of the last art forms that is 100% expression. And, you're in a way, you're having a conversation with the crowd,
Yeah,
and sometimes it's a fun conversation, sometimes it's manic, sometimes it's angry. It depends on the music, obviously, and the
yeah,
feeling and what you're going through. But you get to have that energy game of catch, back and forth with a band. That's a conversation in itself. I wanted to ask you, so Sweet Savage has been around for a minute. You guys started off with Killing Time in '96,
yeah.
and you've kind of progressed since then. I've noticed every album is like you're trying new things, but you're still keeping that same brand. You guys have this new album Bang coming up September 12th. What do you feel like is new here? What do you feel like you've pushed outside? Is there something like you've done on this album that you didn't think you were ever going to do, or is this taking something that's great and just building more on top of it, I guess?
Well, I mean, I would like to say it was something great. We're building on top of it, but I'm not that conceited. I mean, I think we as musicians and as creators of music and of art forms or whatever, we all are good builders.
Mm,
We all do it, and we learn how to build more perfectly. That sounds really anal, but you know what I mean. So
mhm.
this record Bang, I feel is the best thing I've ever done. Um,
Really?
I'm not just saying that because it's coming out and I think it's and I'm trying to sell the record.
Yeah.
It's it was it was a brave move from myself and Simon McBride, who's now the guitar player with Deep Purple. Um, we sat down, wrote the songs, recorded, produced the record, and we decided, look, we could play this safe, and we can go out and do the usual heavy metal festivals all over Europe, and we'll be on middle of the day, or we'll be on at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and we'll have a great time, and we'll move on to the next one, or we can actually try and see if we can start going on at 7 o'clock at night. I'm
Yeah.
under no illusions, Lucian. I don't think I'm ever going to headline, a big heavy metal festival, but I'd like to move up to, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock slot. And I thought if I was going to move up, I need to change the music a bit. So we got this record, and the foundation of it is old hard rock, heavy metal riffs, but we put a lot of modern sounds on it. I've been doing loads of interviews over the last couple of weeks, and people are saying to me, "Why'd you come up with an industrial sound? How'd you come up with these sounds? Why are you using a synthesizer on it?" Well, I ain't using a synth, and if you wanted to say it as industrial, okay. Simon and I set out to make it sound different, and the fact that people are asking me that question is a pat in the back, because
Yeah.
that we have achieved at this. I mean, the nicest compliment I got was one guy saying, "How did you come up with that new sound?" And I,
Mm.
oh, that's a testimony in itself. That
Yeah.
I don't think that I've come up with a new sound. I think I've just taken heavy metal riffs and added sort of magic dust off over them with Simon's guitar playing. He is, I mean, Simon is your sort of like your Steve Vai, Joe Satriani type.
Okay.
So, he's very experimental with his playing, but unbelievably experimental with guitar effects and guitar pedals and recording techniques. So we have a lot of strange tunings, a lot of strange guitar technique, and we is taking the guitar effects to a different level. And that's why people are asking me, why is this an industrial? How do you get this industrial sound? Or are you using synthesizers? There are no synths on it. It's all guitar.
I
But the
love that.
way he uses it. So it's going to remain to be seen how it's received. I mean, when it comes out, the hardcore metalers could turn around and say, you know what, lads, that's a pile of shit. See ya, you're done. But we weren't making any. We were not progressing, Lucian. We were not progressing at all. We seemed to be stuck in the same position. We were in the
Yeah.
parking spot. We were never moving. We were doing okay. We're doing okay. But I think if you're standing still, you're actually going backwards. So it is a risk. And, I hope that the risk pays off. I hope that people give it a listen. I've had a few really nice bits. Like there's the second single from it is a song called The Chosen One. My wife's friends are coming in and saying, "Wow, Ray, I love that song. It's not that usual shit, angry music that you play," which they all take the piss out of me and say, "Ray, why do you write angry music?" So, there's some catchy tunes on it, but there's rockers have said to me as well, "Hey, you know what? That's a kind of catchy tune, but it's still got a lot of balls." And I'm thinking, well, that's the reaction I wanted. It's different than
Yeah.
before. So sorry for the
No,
long-winded.
I love long answers.
It's it was we sat down on purpose to try and do so. Again, I don't want to paint the picture that I'm some unbelievably maestro musician. I'm not. I just thought let's take a risk. Let's do it.
Yeah.
If we get egg on our face, we get egg on our face. What the hell?
Hey, I admire you for taking a risk. A lot of people like to sit in the zone they're comfortable in, and that's fine. And sometimes that works. Sometimes that's a thing. But eventually, I feel like there is a time limit on every.
Yeah.
Like as a band, when you're making and you're curating something, right? And you're discussing with your band what do you want it to be, and what exactly is our sound, and what are we doing on stage to make that sound come alive. You're talking about every aspect of creating an experience, right?
Yep.
Those experiences only last for so long before it does kind of feel played out. It does kind of feel watered down or just dragged out a little longer. So it's good to recognize, okay, I'm feeling this way. I feel like I'm going backwards because I'm standing still. So let's shake things up and find a new way to exist with learning those lessons, but also maybe bringing in stuff we didn't before, just to make something completely new. Like, so when you, it's interesting that people said industrial. That I don't know, that's such a broad term in my opinion. You know, I feel like industrial, because when I hear industrial, I think of like 9 Inch Nails, right? Like, or something of that nature, where it's just 100% industrial. Do
Yeah.
you, when you were doing this, did you have anything in mind? Like, what were you thinking in terms of sound? Did you have a design or a genre or any influences that really drug you into it?
I mean, my influences are real old school. So my influences go right back to Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath. I mean, that's who I am.
Yeah.
I mean, I play the bass, so I write the songs on the bass. So they're simple, because
Yeah.
you're playing on four big fat strings. So it's quite simple what I do. And then, I take the simple riff, which is very like a Zeppelin, Deep Purple, Black Sabbath riff, because it's kind of basic. And then I give it to Simon, and Simon sort of puts the turbocharger on it. And so that's what we started with. And I said, okay, it is still sounding a wee bit like the last record here.
Yeah.
We do. So we started putting, I mean, I'm a big fan of Steve Stevens, the guitar player, you know, who plays with Billy Idol.
Mhm.
One of the things I liked about Steve Stevens, he made a lot of noises and sounds. So I like that. He maybe made more noises and sounds than he actually played solos. So, I kind of use that as maybe as a starting point. I want noises and I want sounds, because when I go to a gig, Lucian, I mean, I'm like, again, old school. I'm standing there and the singer does a mad echo thing, and wow, wow, wow. And I go, wow, do you hear that? Do you hear that?
Mhm.
All those gimmicky things kind of blow me away. So when I was writing this and we were producing it, I try to sort of put myself in, what would I like to hear?
Yeah.
Standing in a club or standing at a festival, what would I like to hear? I like to hear the big delays. I like to hear the noisy, the feedback guitar. I'd like to hear that. So I'm kind of hoping that there's another, 2 million people out there that like to hear the same sort of sounds that I like to hear. That's
Well,
what I'm working on.
yeah.
That's what we did. We just tried to create a record, the record that we would like to listen to. That's
Mhm.
really up our own arses, but it's not. It was kind of like, we've got the foundation. The foundation is the riff. The foundation is the thunderous drums, the double kicker drums, and the foundation is the riff. So what else do we like? What else do we like? Well, we like the noises. We like the mad guitar solos. Let's just do that. Let's put the noises on, and that's what we've done. We've just added basically all the noises that you and I and every other metaler on the planet has probably listened to a million times, but we tried to group them all together and stick them on the top like a big cherry, and
Mhm.
I'm hoping that.
I love it. I love it. I think one thing I've loved about your music, listening to it and getting into it and kind of also researching it, is you guys have this fine-tuned ear for the live music and for the live production. And like you were just saying, you thought about all those things you want to hear, and
Yeah,
you that was kind of your track for laying those things into the new album. And I think that fits completely, because even your older music, like, it has that attention to detail where you could hear it, like, you feel like it's live. There's I don't know, with music you always have like, okay, well, I've heard it on the record and now I heard it live, and oh, I know that's different live. And I feel like you guys, I haven't heard you live ever, but I'm just assuming, like, I feel like your live performance is probably really tight on that record because of that.
yeah. I mean, with me, Lucian, it's exactly the way I had to screw up at the start of this Zoom call.
Yeah.
I'm a techno dope, like dope. you know. So I don't like the studio. I don't like the recording studio. what when I picked up a bass and when I picked up a guitar as as a kid, I wanted to play live. I had no desire to go near a studio. I don't particularly like it, because it's a wee bit too technical and it feels like work. Where I feel, when you're playing live, it's like, wow, I'm on my holidays.
Mm.
If I get a 3 week tour, it's like, wow, I'm on holidays for 3 weeks. It's not work, you know. So everything that we do, um, even though the all the guys in the band are younger than me, we all want to play live. It's all about playing live, and it was about doing this record. And having said, I'm contradicting myself here. It's the best time I've ever had in the studio because working with Simon makes everything simple. But the
Mm.
whole thing is let's make this as live as possible, and then let's tune it so it sounds well coming out speakers in somebody's house, or it sounds good coming out a little tiny speaker in your car because it's being played on the radio. But first and foremost, it's got to be live. So we have got to be able to like we announced our first gig for this today. We've announced our first gig, so
Nice.
we're going to go down. We can go down, and we'll be able to recreate that sound on that record, playing live.
I
And
love that.
so the whole thing is let's make it as unique and as big and as bold as possible. But let's not forget what the essence is. We got to be able to create this live. So
Yeah.
there's no mad things on it that we can't go down as a four-piece band. And like we don't play the click track. We don't do anything. It's like our drummer, our drummer would turn around to me and he would turn around to his own and says, "Look, guys, if you're playing the click track and you're waiting for cues, that's just a band that hasn't rehearsed hard enough." So we rehearse, we rehearse, we rehearse. And again, even rehearsing is not work to me because I've got a guitar in my hand. And I mean, again, Lucian, we're from Ireland. We don't have big, beautiful. I mean, I've been in rehearsal studios in LA, and I'm thinking, I'd actually like to live here. Studios are beautiful.
Yeah.
Person freezing cold, shitty garages and warehouses and ex cow sheds that are painted white and whatever. And I've got gaps in the door this way, and you're freezing. But I like being in because it's playing. I've got a guitar in my hand and I'm playing and I'm making noise. So I want to be able to go down and play bang live and walk out and play it with confidence. So
Hell
if
yeah.
recorded, we can reproduce live. Sorry again for the big long-winded answer.
No, please don't ever apologize for that. That is what I love. I love, again, we're conversing, we're learning, we're exchanging, right? That's not a bad thing. Um, so live, that's just like the way I feel your music has sounded this entire time. I feel even when I first heard you guys, it was like the energy that you brought on the recording made me excited to potentially see you live one day. So I'm really happy that that's something that you guys as a band have thought about that ahead of time and actually like tried to preserve that because it's so rare nowadays. I mean, everything is so, I don't want to say overproduced, but it is like music to me doesn't ever just feel raw and gritty anymore. But you guys have that kind of a vibe and a flow to your music, I guess. I just really appreciate that.
Well, thanks for saying, Lucian, because I, that's the way I would like to think of the band as well. I mean, you know, I still get excited after all these years where it's like, okay, dude, we're going, the boss is going to be around. We're going to grab you at 2 p.m., and I'm,
Mm.
as the boss is here at 2 p.m. I'm getting on the bus. I'm dumping my guitar and my bag in there. And, there's going to be a bunch of dudes and on the bus and we're going to talk crap for the next hour and a half till we get to the gig. And we're just going to talk a load of rubbish. That to me is, I mean, that's just brilliant. And to me, it's all about being together, getting on. I love sound checks. This is
Mm.
weird feeling. Sound checks always remind me of Christmas Eve. You know, it's the day before Christmas. The anticipation. I love a sound check. People are busy. You can mess about. You can play whatever stupid song you want to play in the sound check. It's all fun. It's great. And then you go away, and then you come back to do the event. And like it might sound a bit nuts that I think of a sound check as Christmas Eve and then the gig is Christmas Day, right? The big events are right, let's deliver the goods, and
Yeah.
you know.
I feel like soundcheck for me has like always carried that kind of a feeling, but it's also like okay, like does this venue have a sound booth? Do they have a like I'm like going through the list in my mind, like is everything all right? What do I know here? What's going on? Like how far can I move? Like you're kind of testing everything before
Yeah.
you get up there. And man, when I played in a band, we would go on the road sometimes to other states and do like little hole in the wall bars and just random stuff like that. And it was always like I'll never forget, there was one where they were like, we don't have a sound guy, and I was like, okay, where's your board? And there it was in this like this food closet on the side of the stage, and it was maybe like a 15 channel Yamaha, and everything was peaked out, and the gain was all the way up, and I was just like, all right, I'm gonna do the sound tonight. Like, so I feel like sound check, yeah, it's Christmas Eve for sure, but sometimes it's like that's where you find out what you need to get done.
Lucian, I've done 10 million of those gigs that you've just
Yeah.
where, yeah, that is funny you saying that. That the desk is in some closet somewhere, and the lighting desk is in the other closet, and
Yeah.
turn the lighting desk on. There's only one bulb working. No. But you know what? It's all part and parcel of the reason why we do this shit.
Yep.
I mean, unless you have the luxury of being in, Metallica or Iron Maiden or whoever,
Yeah.
um, you don't do this for the money. You don't do it. You do it for the love of it. It is a labor of love. That's what it is.
Yeah. I know. I mean, speaking of like bigger names, you've had the honor and the privilege to play with some pretty big names. I've heard Thin Lizzy, Ozzy, Motorhead. Were those? You
Yeah,
played with all those?
I've played with all those. I've played with Metallica. I even right down to UFO, Nazareth, who I was a big.
Oh,
I actually did a couple of shows with Deep Purple. That was, standing on the stage. I brought my best friend, who's not a musician, and him and I, as young teenagers, listening to Deep Purple. So I brought him to the gig, and we stood on the side of the stage, and they started playing "Smoke in the Water," and I was about 4 feet away from Ian Pace as he was drumming it, and
uh,
Dave and I just looked at each other, and I actually thought the two of us were going to cry, because if anyone had said to us two dudes when we were like 14, one day you'll be standing on the stage with Deep Purple and they'll be playing "Smoke in the Water," we'd have said, you're having a fucking laugh.
right.
Um, and that's the other thing as well too, Lucian. All those people that you've just named, they were all heroes of mine, and I got to meet them, and I got to speak to them, and every single one of them were nice people. Every single one. I haven't had a bad experience. The way the old saying is, never meet your heroes.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just lucky. I haven't had a bad experience with meeting any of my heroes. It's been amazing. Sometimes I've been absolutely tongue tied, and I didn't know what to say. I'm standing there like a dope, looking yes, no, yes, no, 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 and I couldn't speak because I was just so in awe. That happened to me several times with Phil Lynott from Thin Lizzy, because he's one of the guys that, because I play bass and sing, I wanted to be Phil Lynott. So when I met Phil Lynott for the first time, I'm sure he thought, this guy's a blubbering idiot. This guy can't string two words together. And that was the same when I met Ozzy. It was the same when I met Lemmy. Because Lemmy's a bass player singer, and there's lots of them I can't speak highly enough of. Like I did a tour with Motorhead, and it must have been about 6-7 years later. I was backstage at the Download Festival in England.
Yeah.
Lemmy wasn't even playing. He was walking past. He come walking past, and I was just looking at Lemmy. And he walked past, and he stopped, and he just said, because he called me Remy, because a lot of people in the music industry call, he said, Remy, and I was like, that's the make of the man. Like, how many people has he met in 6 years and he still remembered me, and he still remembered my name, and he stood, and we had a conversation for 3 or 4 minutes. But to me, that's the caliber of the man he was, and it's nice when you meet people who are icons and they turn out to be lovely people. And I haven't had any bad experiences at all.
That's awesome. Yeah, honestly, around here where we're from, like Lemmy and Ozzy are like royalty. Like, honestly, like those two dudes are responsible for a lot of my music taste from when I was like starting to skateboard as a youth, and like playing sports and doing everything else. It was listening to their music that got me through a lot of stuff. So yeah, it's just been crazy to even think that anyone is met, because like someone is so high up. I feel like I would be tongue tied too. Like I wouldn't know what to say if I ever did get them, when they were with us. Like that would have been wild. That's really cool that you've gotten to have those experiences, and like,
yeah. And the same, it's like, you see, I mean, I've met the Metallica guys so many times.
yeah.
Like, probably the biggest heavy metal band the world has ever seen.
Oh, no doubt.
That is absolute rock royalty.
Yeah.
I mean, those dudes are just like you and me. They just
Yeah.
talk the same shit that you and me will talk. They'll talk about the same things that we want to talk about. They're just ordinary guys who happen to be in the biggest band in the world. It's just lovely, lovely people.
That's so, I feel like that's the description of a movie I'd love to watch. Lovely dudes that just happen to be in the biggest band in the world. Like that, they got to do like a reality show or something. I feel like that would be great. I would love that. But my wife is maybe the biggest Metallica fan in the entire world. She's told me several times, like, I would leave you for James, and I was like, hey, if you did, I feel like that'd be pretty cool. So yeah, that's super cool, man. I know that not a lot of people have gotten to actually meet some of those people, and that's pretty, like, you should take that as a sign, man. Like we're talking about earlier, how you said you were sitting still and you felt like you were moving backwards. I mean, like, you've gotten like blessed by some of the biggest names in the genre, and I feel like that's, you get to take some time and reestablish, and you've done that, and now you're on to bang now, September 12th, and I feel like this is going to be the biggest comeback for Sweet Savage. I can feel it, man. Like, honestly, like, based on what other people are saying about this and what I've heard, and doing all the, like, because okay, when I get a band that I'm talking to, I take like a week to just soak into their stuff.
Yeah.
And even if I've known them or if I haven't known them, it doesn't matter. I just listen to it, and I come up with this kind of, what am I going to talk about in my head? Like, what does this make me feel? What are the emotions I'm feeling right now? And a whole time I was listening to your stuff, I was so excited because the energy was there. And honestly, man, I get a lot of bands on this show that don't have half the energy that I feel like Sweet Savage has on a recording, let alone. So,
Yeah.
like, I've got to watch you guys live sometime. I feel like if you ever come to America, man, I need to take a flight out and see you, because I gotta see this firsthand.
Lucian, obviously it'd be lovely to meet you in person. And if you ever come into Ireland, make sure you give me a shout. You look me up.
Will do.
I really do hope that that we get the opportunity to get to the States. I mean, I've never went and done a tour. I've got up and maybe done a gig, or I get up and I played with Metallica in San Francisco. It's, but it's. I mean, it's. I think everybody that outside of America that owns a guitar or plays a drum, their dream is to get to America. Because that's America is the home of rock and roll. You know,
Mm.
everybody that I know from all my musician friends from all over Europe, and we're sitting down wherever we are in Europe, we're all drinking a beer. So, wouldn't you love to get on a tour bus and drive across America? I mean, everybody just wants to do that. That is the ultimate. And I mean, I've American musicians. say, yeah, I'd love to get on the tour bus and drive from France to Spain to Italy to Britain to wherever. So we all want to do what each other has, but you see that to be driving through America on a tour bus. I mean, that's the ultimate dream. I hope I get the opportunity to do it. I really do hope to get the opportunity to do it. I would just love to go and do a tour of the States. It's because when you go, and I'm not just saying this because you're sitting in the middle of the USA. Um, the professionalism is on another level.
Mm.
It's just on another level. Um, and that's when you go and you do it. Like I went over with a rock and roll band to play sort of boogie to Nashville, and obviously, I mean, we weren't doing a tour; we're just doing the odd gig. No money, no payment, because we were just over to really have a good time and play.
Yeah.
Um, but even at that level where it was just a bit of fun, the professionalism is just on another level. It really is.
Oh, for sure. There's totally like a brotherhood of people that work in shows, and like when I was roadieing, it's like you see it firsthand, and everyone has that professionalism, and that's like the standard is like if you don't have that, you can't be there, kind of a thing. And I appreciate that, especially as a musician. You've been, especially when you've been to every bar, dive bar, club, even small stadium kind of stuff. Like it's definitely a thing in America that there is a set standard, I guess, for how to act and how to work on the road.
And the other thing too, Lucian, you see the standard of musicianship. Um, Lucian,
Yeah, I see it. Or I hear you. There you go.
musicianship in the USA, it's on another level.
Mm.
I mean, when I was in Nashville, I actually felt like, right, when I get home, I'm going to throw my guitars and bass in the bin. I'm just going to forget about it. I mean, the standard of musicianship over there is just on a different level.
Yeah.
Really. But I really do would like to get there. But to get to play live anywhere is great, and we get the opportunity to play live. I'm going to take it no matter where it is. And if you get to see us play live, great. I mean, that's it. That's it. Even James Hetfield said to me, he said, the energy that you guys create is incredible. The live energy that you do, and the fact that you do it live, we do it. No click track, no backing tracks, absolutely nothing. Some nights the lead vocals are great, some nights the lead vocals are shit, some nights the backing vocals are great, some nights are shit.
Right.
That's what it is. But the bottom line is it's live. What you see is what you get.
I love that. Not enough people do that anymore, and I love your opinion on click tracks. I kind of agree with that. I think unless you're doing something that is like timed to a video,
Yeah.
like I'm a huge fan of Death Clock, if you know Death Clock at all. And that band, they time all of their songs to music videos because the whole thing is it's a cartoon band, so they're not really there, and they don't even have lights on the musicians. It's all just on the screen, so you watch what's on the screen while the music is playing. And that's like the rare instance where I'm like, okay, I get it, but click track should be the drummer, right? I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
Ideally, that's what you have a drummer for. So,
Absolutely.
but man, Ray, it's been really cool talking to you, man. I honestly, I do a lot of these interviews, and so many times it's like I'm a social person. I'd like to think I'm pretty outgoing, but so many times you meet people and you're like, God, I'm not vibing with this person, or something's just not there, and I feel like you've got that kind of personality that I could just sit here and talk to you all day, to be honest. So I really appreciate you.
Likewise, you're very engaging. And
Thank
you're
you.
brilliant. You're absolutely brilliant.
No, stop. I try. But no, guys, if you're listening or watching on YouTube, Bang is coming out September 12th. Please go check it out. Go stream it. Let's get Bang over here in America. I want to hear this album live. And I think we could stream the hell out of it, support the hell out of Sweet Savage and everything they're doing right now, coming back in a huge, explosive way. And I'm so excited to hear it, man. This is going to be cool. Ray, thank you so much for your time. Any words of wisdom to impart on the listeners before we get out of here?
Please listen and please enjoy. And if you can, send us a comment, and good or bad. Every day's a school day. I want to learn. If somebody says to me, you should have done this, you should have done that, I do pay attention. I do listen. We learn by listening. We don't learn by talking.
God, I love that. A day of communication with Ray Holler. Everyone, have a great day. Keep it metal and be good people.